Hello everybody, welcome to my Crafty Soup channel. My name is Misty, and in today's episode I have a Mixed Media Frenzy hop to share with you. So the Mixed Media Frenzy group is a free group over on YouTube, and the fourth Friday of the month they offer an opportunity for group members to share in this hop. And here was our inspiration piece, and my liberal interpretation of that piece was flowing color on an angle from one side of the paper to the next. Now I didn't use the same angle or the same flow of colors, but that's where I went with this layout. So let's go ahead and dive into the process. I have these photos of getting my first pair of hearing aids, and I discovered unexpectedly that I have some hearing loss called cookie bite hearing loss, and it's an uncommon kind of hearing loss. And so I wanted to talk about kind of the problems I went through in getting the hearing aids to work properly for me. And so I am going to use the idea of sound waves to create this layout. With my photos, I wanted to put them off on the edge of the layout, and because I'm not going to have a lot of layers and stuff, I wanted to make sure that my photos had some special interest to them. So I am cutting them into these circles using this set of dies, and this nesting set of dies is going to play a big role in the creation of this layout. And so I'm going to leave those on my desk and continue working with them. So I just used my die cut machine to do the best I could to get a good proportion of these photos into these circles. Now, I probably could have printed these photos a little bit smaller because I did want the photos of the hearing aids to be smaller than the photo of myself, but it wasn't so, and I could have reprinted them, but I decided to just go with it because, you know, sometimes it's just not going to be perfect, and I'm learning more and more to be okay with that. So here is where I start creating my sound waves. So I kind of worked around my ear in this photo and created a middle zone. And then using those dies, I'm going to kind of trace an arc from these dies. And I'm trying to center the die up with that middle zone so that it's not off to the left or right too much. And then I'm just using a pencil to trace these arcs. And as the arcs get closer and closer to my photos, I am going to make them closer and closer together. Okay, once those arcs are done, I go ahead and erase the straight lines, and I give a slight erase to the arcs. Now, I was trying to show you there the faintness of the arcs once I erased it, and it ended up being too faint because the mixed media covered up a little too much. So here I pulled out my mixed media. I'm using distressed oxide inks and my blending brushes, and I've got various brands of blending brushes. And I'm starting off with the black color close to my photos, and then I'm filling in with a gray color, and then I'm coming in with my primary colors, which eventually will blend together to give me a rainbow of color. And I did start off with thinking I was going to use some oxide inks for this and just red and pink palette, but then I decided I really wanted that rainbow of color going on, and this flow of color kind of reminds me of a revelation or an awakening, and that's kind of the feeling I wanted to get from this page. Okay, here is a lifting technique with this distress oxide, or the distress inks. Because they are water reactive inks, I'm just painting over them with a flat, wide paintbrush to reactivate, just clean water to reactivate the ink, and then lifting it with a paper towel. Now make sure your paper towel uses a dry spot every time you re-lift a portion, because anywhere your paper towel is wet, it's going to leave an impression of the paper towel. And then I added some water spatters just to get those reactive blots. And then I'm coming in with some watered down black acrylic paint and getting more splatters there, and watering down my white acrylic paint and adding more splatters there. So building up layers of color and texture. Once everything is dry, I go ahead and grab my photos and I adhere those to the page. Now, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with these photos at this point, so I just put some adhesive in the center of the photos, thinking I might tuck some little bits of pattern paper and stuff around them, and I didn't end up going that direction, but at least it gave me the option. And I popped up my main photo with some foam dots to give it a little more focus, and it took me a little fussing to get the photos where I wanted them. but it all worked out in the end. And then I used just my favorite journaling pen to outline those sound waves and to outline around the edge of the page, and I left that edge outline a little open where the sound waves are going to flow through. And then I grabbed my alpha set and I mark on my set with a little permanent marker to know which letters I'm going to use so I can make sure I have enough letters for my whole title. And this was a very long, drawn out title too. So I didn't end up having enough letters for the whole entire title, so I went and pulled a second set of alphas, both in white, and did it that way. And I will actually add some handwritten words to finish off that title later. Now I'm going to add more texture to this layout with stamping. This layout's also part of the Calvin Ball Scrapbooking Challenge, which is a wacky scrapbooking game where you have rules, and for every rule that you use on your layout, you gain a point. And it's all kind of honor system stuff. So I pulled out stamps that fit all those rules, like leaves and sun and flower. So if you have any of those things on your layout, you get a point. So I pulled out all my stamps and little images to get as many points as I could. And I will link you to the Calvin Ball Challenge because you can still join in even though it goes to the end of March. There's a little bit of time left and you can just come play with us because it's just silly and fun. All right, to finish off my layout, instead of tucking all those things around my photos like I thought I might, I journaled around the edges of the photos a little bit. And then I added my main journaling around the entire border of the page. I threw on some enamel dots in black and white, some sequins in black and white, and that finishes off my layout for the day. So it did take me a while to do this layout, even though I sped up the video for you. But I really love the burst of color and the texture that I got with all of these elements working together. And there's a little bit of a close-up of the title and some of my journaling. All right, that does it for my portion of this hop. I do hope you will go and check out the other crafters on this hop. I will be sure to link up all of their sites. Most of them are YouTubers, but there are a few Instagrammers. And I will link you up to the Mixed Media Frenzy group, and I will link you up to the Calvin Ball group. Thanks for joining me today, and I hope you'll join me for future videos. I'll see you next time.